Hi, and welcome. I am here to talk about the new show Condor, which is on the AT&T Network nowadays, which actually means more like direct TV. So the way to get it is if you have direct TV, which I know a whole lot of people don't have. So a lot of people have missed this. And this show has not, I looked on YouTube and there's no reviews of it. And so where I love to make reviews of something like Game of Thrones, where there's a million people reviewing it and nobody watches my reviews, I thought it might be a public service to actually review this show that is a really awesome show, but not that many people are watching it. So let me just read from this here. It says, inspired by the 1975 political thriller 3 Days of the Condor, the new original series Condor, airing Wednesday nights on the AT&T Audience Network on DirecTV, follows Joe Turner, Max Irons, a young man who is deeply conflicted about his work for the CIA. When something he's discovered gets his entire office killed and forces him to go on the run, the life or death stakes push Joe to figure out just what he's capable of in order to uncover who's behind a far-reaching conspiracy that threatens the lives of millions. So, I'm reviewing episode 6 at this point, which just came out yesterday. And so, spoilers if you have not seen the episodes before that or have not seen this episode, I will be discussing it, and watch the episode before you watch this. So I watched 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford with my dad when I was little, and always thought it was a really cool movie. And I've actually rewatched that movie. And that movie, basically 3 Days of the Condor, Robert Redford plays a CIA guy, and essentially he arrives at work, and they kill everybody in his little unit. He's like a nerdy guy for the CIA. He like just reads books and stuff, and they kill everyone in his unit, and he actually gets away because he had another way out of the office, and he gets away. And then the whole movie is like they're trying to bring him in, but he doesn't know if he should come in. It's like come in from the cold, or they're bringing him in. And the guys who he's talking to are like, he can't tell if he should be coming in or not, if they're just going to kill him as they're trying to find him, or what to do. And this series is, it's like a reboot of it. It's similar in some ways, but different in some ways. Mira Sorvino is in it as one of the bosses, and I really don't like her character at first because she just seems like too cocky. It just seems like there's certain aspects of this where it seems like people would be like CIA people, like really smart and detail-oriented and stuff. But then there's certain aspects of it that like the character, like the stuff the characters do is not what somebody would do if they were like really that detail-oriented and totally like emotionless. It's like characters who you're supposed to believe were picked because of these qualities of being like super efficient and super detail-oriented and stuff. All of a sudden they act emotional at 1 second and like blow it all. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in certain ways, this show. I do find the show entertaining, but I just don't buy some of the performances. So the one very interesting person is the character of Joubert, and there was a Joubert in the original one too. And Joubert is played by this actress who, very interesting, she's an Arab-Israeli actress of Palestinian descent, which I find very interesting. That's Liam Lubani, who plays Joubert. Now, there was a Joubert in the original movie, 3 Days of the Condor, but it was played by actually a man. And so this is an interesting recasting of this particular person. The other like main actor in this show is Brendan Fraser, who you will know from The Mummy. He was like, he had this big career with The Mummy as this like hunky actor, and then I think that was followed by like a long series of flops, and he's never really gotten his footing again. Kind of like, how like John Travolta like was just all these flops after he was on Welcome Back, Kotter and stuff and was really popular, and then he just had a series of flops. I mean, I watched Saturday Night Fever again recently, and it really does not age well. But then all of a sudden, John Travolta was in Pulp Fiction, and he had this super cool role, and it really brought his career back. Well, I think that this show threatens to do that for Brendan Fraser, and I don't mean threatens, I mean as a good thing. Brendan Fraser here comes across almost as like a nerdy guy, and he just has an interesting part. They gave him a real juicy part to play, and I think it's just perfect for him because it allows him to sort of stretch out. He's not like a hunky guy in this one. He's almost like a nerdy guy who is like a little bit of a disappointment, but now he's hooked up with these nefarious characters, and you can't really tell if he's good or bad. I mean, he's in a role of a bad guy, but you can't really tell at this point if he's somehow going to redeem himself. I find that very interesting. Also, you see, like, you can tell that this is a show that was in 2018 because you've got like the like obligatory like gay character. You've got like and the other thing is I find very interesting is the treatment of having Muslim characters on American television, and like, you know, whereas like the American public and stuff, it seems like, well, politically, it seems like sort of we've moved backwards as far as like being part of the world and everything. Well, Hollywood is going in a different direction, which I really like. It seems we haven't seen it yet, but it seems like there's hints that we're going to end up in maybe Jeddah or Mecca here, because we see like one of the main like agent characters. We saw him in Riyadh, which, for those of you who are not real familiar with Saudi Arabia, Riyadh's like in the far west of the country. Mecca is in the far. Riyadh is in like the east part of the country, in like the central east sort of. And Mecca is on the west coast. So let me see if I can pull up a map of Saudi Arabia. But we haven't seen like many characters. That's the other thing that like, if you've watched Quantico, I don't know if you've seen Quantico, but interesting to have like a woman with a hijab and stuff, like introducing actually Americans who are watching TV to some stuff about Islam, which I find it interesting. I think it's a good thing that Christians learn about Islam, and that people of who are Muslim learn about Christians. I think that there's nothing wrong with that stuff. But if you take a look at a map of Saudi Arabia here, let's see if we can do this. Am I in the way? Yeah, I'm totally in the way. You're going to see Riyadh in the center of the country right above where it says Saudi Arabia, and then you're going to see Mecca on the right here, and actually it doesn't list it, but Jeddah is right over there too. And we did see a shot quickly like 2 episodes ago of the Kaaba and the Grand Mosque, and the Kaaba is where like everybody is like praying towards when Muslim people pray. And so I would find that interesting if they actually had it's actually a beautiful place in the world, and if they had actually like if they were showing that on a major US TV show, that would definitely be a first, and is something that's sort of interesting. They were showing like Riyadh and guys with Saudi businessmen with Saudi businessmen attire, which is pretty interesting stuff. So I'm just going to go just to show you. I'm going to show you a live view of the Kaaba right now, because there's a webcam of it. And I'm going to turn this down. And you know, I understand that this is this is people's religion, and people take it very seriously. but it is a beautiful place, and this is kind of what they're showing in this show, which is, I think, is kind of interesting. Anyways, you can't really see very well right now. I guess it's kind of like, anyway, but that's, I guess, live view of the Kaaba. You can kind of see it there on the right. So, but it's an interesting show, I guess. In this episode, the last episode we left, Jeremy Irons was like tied up somewhere, and he was trying to go see his buddy who had broken the news on TV that like he was actually part of a CIA group, and the people, because he'd been set up as being the one, supposedly the one who had murdered these people, but this guy came on TV, his buddy from school, and said, no, he didn't murder them. He was part of a CIA setup, and he's innocent. And so Jeremy Irons had gone to visit this guy and try to get information from him. And he actually is successful in doing that. And then we see him meet up with his old girlfriend for a second. And meanwhile, the other character, Kathy Hale, is finally located by the CIA guys, by Joubert and this other guy at her neighbor's place where the cat was. They figured it out. And a whole thing ensues with them talking with her, and she figures out that she'd been warned about this Joubert girl, and then she recognizes that's who it is, and basically Turner had told her that she might run into this girl, and if she does, run as fast as she can. He also told her that the girl had seduced him and had slept with him, and so she uses this info to turn her against the guy that she's with, the CIA guy that she's with. And so that's pretty exciting. And in the end, Joe ends up rescuing Kathy. And we also see scenes of Joe's buddy who got killed's wife confronting her issues, and there's a lot of that in the show. So yeah, his buddy's name was Caleb Wolf, and they were at MIT together, and then they grew apart. Caleb Wolf became an activist who's actually like in hiding, and Joe Turner, of course, took a different path and entered the CIA. So it's been a pretty exciting show so far. We get this dramatic ending to the episode where it looks like Kathy H is not going to make it, which is sad. There's more stuff going on in Riyadh. It was hard to tell last episode what was up. It looked like they were maybe like testing the virus and the antidote for it. So they've got this virus, and it looks like they have an antidote too. So it seems like maybe they're gonna threaten to release the virus and then make people pay up for the antidote, possibly something like that. But the evil, head evil guy at the beginning of the show is meeting with these people at his office or whatever, and talking about this antidote to this virus, how this plague could kill all these people, but they could fix it with these drones that release this antidote. And there's this footage on the back of the screen playing behind him about these drones. So that's kind of interesting. William Hurt plays this other head guy at the CIA who's Joe's uncle, and who sort of is a senior CIA guy, and kind of guided Joe while he was growing up and recruited him into the CIA. And he supposedly was cheating on his wife with Mira Sorvino's character. And once again, I've heard of Mira Sorvino. The actress name sounds like familiar to me and stuff, and I know she's sort of like politically active and stuff, but I just don't really buy her performance. I guess I've seen her in something else, but this particular performance, I don't know. I don't like it. She seems like, in a way, she's cocky, but maybe it's just the writing of like her character that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I don't know. She's my least favorite of the characters here. I like William Hurt's character, definitely. But this show, it's a fun show in a way, but it certainly has problems. And some of the problems have to do with the acting, I would think. The fun part about it is like the technical parts and like the spy type stuff parts. Kind of like in The Americans, there was some good like spy stuff. This one has some good spy stuff too, and I find the stuff that's like in Saudi Arabia to be fascinating. But just some of like the character to character stuff just is not, it's not believable. It's just it's like these millennials acting important type stuff. Like everybody's good looking and everybody's like so, hip and knows everything and is super ultra confident and all this stuff. Like I said, I do like Liam Lubani as Joubert because she's got a very expressive face, and I don't think she like overdoes it. But I don't know. There's some problems with the show, but I definitely think that more people should watch it. It's amazing that nobody else is reviewing it that I can find. I guess Condor is a commonly searched word on YouTube, so when you search, it shows like, it seems like a bunch of knives are named Condor or something, and some other stuff's named Condor. I would check out the show if you can find it somehow online. I think if you search for it online, you can somehow find it. I have been watching every episode so far, and I definitely recommend watching it. It's entertaining. I did read a review saying Max Irons as the head guy was like boring or something. Let's take a look actually at Rotten Tomatoes reviews here for a second. Rotten Tomatoes. I go here a lot when I am looking at shows, and I love to consume television. There's no doubt about that. So they gave it a 90, an audience 97. They've got some pictures here. And I guess they have a description. Okay, so descriptions of each show even before they were made. So this one says, May is tortured by lingering questions surrounding her husband's death. Caleb tells Joe about his CIA source. Joubert and Boyd cross paths at Kathy's house and make a critical discovery. So Boyd is this guy who's like he's like an alpha male CIA guy who's like super, once again, super confident, and he takes off his wedding ring as he goes to this house to investigate Kathy, and as if he maybe wants to get lucky with Joubert. And Joubert like notices everything. She's like she's kind of like Sherlock Holmes or something. She recognizes every little like detail and can like pull apart any scene and figure out exactly what's happening right away. So that's all interesting stuff. I just actually want to see what it says here for the next episode as far as like a little breakdown. It says another person close to Joe is found dead. Bob shares his theory about the IEC attack with Charla. Iris gives May information that puts both of their lives in jeopardy. So there were some flashbacks in the last episode to Iris at her wedding. And I think Iris may be the black woman that's married to this other CIA guy. We found out that the CIA guy that was at the wedding that May was at was the one who was giving Caleb the information. Because Caleb found out about that the attack on IEP was an attack on the CIA, and that Caleb was innocent. Well, he got that information from this guy, and the guy is revealed to be another CIA guy that was married to this black woman who may be Iris. So let's take a look. let's look at some of these reviews here. You don't have to believe it, just enjoy it. Condor does its best to overcome the burden of not being the best of its genre. You know, spy shows after The Americans, they really raised the bar on spy shows. So I don't think you need to compete with The Americans necessarily to be successful as a show. I think one of the best things about The Americans was just that, in a sense, it's a love affair more than anything else, and that's what really raised the show. This one says, Fraser has many years of experience using his broad shoulders, looming height, goofy smile, and sad Pekingese eyes to create characters who are simultaneously menacing and sympathetic, and this performance is another keeper in that vein. This storytelling here is woman-like and efficient, but Joe's story comes to life too infrequently. Well, I guess what I have to say is, and this one says, this is the sort of thing 24 fans can eat with a spoon. It is a little teeny bit 24-like in that it's like one thing after another. But I would suggest watching it for yourself and checking it out. And I will come back next week after the next episode and give you my take on that next episode. I hope more people from YouTube will review the show. I'd like to hear your reviews. I hope you liked hearing mine. Thanks for watching. I do have my channel is mostly stock market stuff. I don't know if you're into that or not, but if you are, check it out. If not, just come back for the reviews. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week with our next episode of Condor. I can't wait for it.